You know the scene, right? Midnight strikes, fireworks light up the sky, everyone's hugging and cheering, promising a new year, new me. But at that exact same moment, somewhere else, someone's already asleep. No countdown, no champagne. So what's going on in their world? In this explainer, we're going to dive deep into the psychology of those who treat New Year's Eve as just another night. It really is a tale of two midnights happening at the exact same time. On one side, you've got this huge collective party for what is, let's be honest, just a number changing on the calendar. And on the other side, you've got silence. So what gives? Why the massive difference in how people experience this one moment? And this really paints the picture. On the left, that's the cultural script we're all handed, the noise, the countdowns, the big resolutions. But on the right, there's a totally different reality playing out, the comfort of a familiar routine, maybe an early night, and this simple, quiet acknowledgement that tomorrow is, well, it's just tomorrow. So that brings us to the real heart of the matter, the big question we're tackling here. What is actually happening in that quiet? Because it's not just one thing. It's a whole mix of complex, deeply human, and totally understandable reasons. So to make sense of it, we're going to break it down into 5 distinct mindsets. And it's really important to see these not as rigid labels, but as, well, as different states of being. They're understandable human conditions that lead someone to choose silence on the one night of the year that demands noise. Okay, so let's start with our first group, the quiet celebrators. Now, these folks aren't anti-New Year's at all. They just have a completely different idea of what it actually means to celebrate. And this quote, man, it just nails their whole philosophy. Don't mistake silence for emptiness. For them, the silence isn't a lack of joy, it's a different kind of joy, one that doesn't have to be loud and flashy to be real. So the psychology here is pretty clear. They actually prioritize emotional regulation. It's all about preserving calm and protecting their inner peace. Instead of chasing that high of excitement, they see a successful night as one where they've maintained their balance in a world that's always screaming for more, more, more. All right, our second group is a totally different story. We're calling them the time-blurred survivors. For these people, it's not really that they're choosing to ignore New Year's. It's more like they just don't have the mental bandwidth to even notice it's happening. This says it all. Their brain is in survival mode, not celebration mode. You know when you're just completely overwhelmed by work or financial stress, or just the mental load of life, your brain has to shift its priorities. It becomes focused on just getting through the next hour, the next day, not on symbolic events. Psychologically, when your mind has been fighting fires all year long, time becomes purely functional. It just loses its emotional weight. See, a new year requires reflection, and reflection requires mental space. For this group, that space is already rented out to worry and stress. The clock striking midnight doesn't feel like a reset. It just means tomorrow is coming, and it's probably an early start. Now, this next one, it's a tough one and something a lot of people feel. Our third profile is the invisible lonely. For this group, a quiet New Year's isn't always a choice they make freely. It's often a painful result of feeling socially disconnected. And this just captures that feeling perfectly. New Year's Eve, with all its nonstop public displays of friendship and togetherness, can shine a really harsh spotlight on what someone feels they're missing. It's a night that can make loneliness feel incredibly, painfully visible. So what happens? Pulling back becomes a survival strategy. By consciously redefining the day as just another Tuesday, they can reduce the emotional damage. It's a powerful way of protecting themselves from the sting of not being included. So their silence isn't empty, it's actually really heavy with the weight of what feels absent. Okay, next up we have the wounded passers. These are the people for whom the past year wasn't really something to celebrate. It was something to survive, something to endure. This is so important to understand. Healing doesn't obey dates. Whether it's the loss of a job, a loved one, or just that feeling of stability, real pain doesn't just magically switch off because the calendar flips to January 1st. Forcing a celebration can feel deeply fake, even disrespectful to what they've been through. Look, you can't really celebrate if you don't feel emotionally safe. And when you're still healing, you just don't have that safety net. So treating the day as normal is actually an act of radical honesty. They aren't rejecting the future. They're just walking towards it very carefully, recognizing that sometimes true strength is just quiet continuation. It doesn't need applause.
And for our fifth and final group, let's be super clear. This isn't about being antisocial or sad. This is about brain chemistry. Meet the introverted observers. This slide shows the absolute key difference we have to understand. For the invisible lonely, the pain comes from social absence, not having a place to go. But for the introverted observer, the issue is exhaustion from social overload. They're two completely different reasons for seeking out the quiet. Just imagine a typical New Year's party. The loud music, the crowds, the pressure to be on. For an introverted nervous system, that's not a party. It's a sensory nightmare. It's just draining. For them, reflection isn't some once-a-year event. It's a constant internal thing. Their personal growth is subtle and private, so a loud public party can feel kind of artificial. Their choice is all about staying aligned with their inner world, not rejecting the outer one.
Okay, so we've looked at these 5 individual mindsets, but, they don't exist in a vacuum. All of these experiences are shaped by this huge, invisible force, the societal pressure to perform happiness on command. New Year's Eve is the ultimate socially comparative moment. I mean, think about it. It practically forces you to pull out a measuring stick and compare your life, your friendships, your happiness, your success against everyone else's social media highlight reel. In a moment like that, choosing neutrality, choosing to just let the day pass, that can be a radical act of honesty. And this brings us to our final, and maybe most powerful idea. Maybe we need to redefine what starting fresh even means. I mean, does real, lasting change actually happen just because a number on a calendar changes? Let that sink in for a second. The people who don't celebrate loudly are often the ones who change quietly. Authentic growth, the real stuff, often doesn't need an audience or a big announcement. It's slow, it's private, it's messy. The people who don't perform their hope for the new year might just be the ones who are truly living it, day by day. So I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. What does growth really feel like for you? Is it the fireworks and the big countdown? Or is it maybe something that happens in the silence, long after all the noise has faded? It's something worth thinking about as we all try to move through our own time on our own terms.